I'm gonna show you a little bit of brush work. It's like a better understanding of the soft brush. And I'm gonna draw a face, I guess. So I'm just starting with a color that I'm gonna have to change. And a new layer. And let's see. I'm making the shape that I'm going to be working with. This is with a hard brush. That's a rough version of what I'm doing. So if I have to add more, I can add behind it. Now okay, I'm gonna go to the side here, or drop down right here, and I'll explain a little bit about how you get details. Like right here is a real blurry line. It's wide, and I'm gonna go right beside it with black. Actually, I should fade that. Go with less fill. I'm not sure how this is gonna look, but I'm guessing 22 would be kind of strong, but not yet really strong. It's hard to remember settings when the brush changes. I'm going to add some grid in here. This is all with the same size brush. I'm working, and as I'm working, I'm looking at the center of the brush. I'm not looking at the whole brush, just the center. So I want to do lower flow to add color, like this color. See, and what I have right here is more kind of blurry because of the size of brush I'm using. When I want to get more details in it, then I use smaller brush. Okay, this brush is a 200. Now I'm going to go with the smaller brush. Let's go with something close to 140. You just type it in. I'm just making up the size just because it's smaller. Now I'm going to go with a lighter color. And this isn't really going to do much for changing. So I'm going to do it on this side. And then I can darken it a little bit. And then go with a gray around it. So you can see that this is smaller than this area over here. Let's see if you can see. This area over here is a bigger blend because it was a bigger brush. And this side over here, I can't see it. I assume that you can probably see this over here. I'll change back. I'm using tab there. So now I'm going to go with a smaller brush. So then I can go lighter. And this looks smaller. And then I go with the lighter patch. See, this is a narrow spot because the brush is narrow. And the whole idea of this, I'm going to pick up a color here to blend it a little bit because I don't want one side to be as heavy. Now it's blended in because I was using yellow. And as you want to get more details in, you go with smaller brushes. Let's see, like this. Now I'm going to go with a white. And now I'm getting details in it because I'm using a smaller brush. And I'm trying to blend in one side while the other side I'm getting sharp. Now this area right here isn't that sharp, so I'm going to go with a dark color and a low flow so don't make a drastic change. Now I'm going to, oh, that looks kind of strong. Go with a lower flow. There, you can barely see it, but there's a change through here. It's slow, so I can stop it when I need. And then I'm going to mix in some shading and go back with the black and go down through here. And then blend it in, pick up a mid part and blend it in to make one side wider, like I'm trying to keep this more or less blended in. And this is a close-up of it. Now I'm going to change, since these colors are mid colors, I'm going to have to use more flow because the colors are pretty much alike. Now I'm going to go with a smaller brush. Go back to the low flow again. 2 is actually a flow rate below 3, and below 3 you get void spots in it, so you don't want to do too much of it. So now I'm adding more shade to one side. Now I'm going to pick up the color in the middle and blend it. Let me just pick up that color. Helps to go with the stronger flow when you need it. Now I got it blended in to where I don't see this black, but the strongest black is right here along this rim. And I'm making this rim sharper by going with a smaller brush and putting in details with that lower flow. Now I'll just go straight down. And then I want to highlight or this is right here, it's like pointy, or like the edge is right here in the middle. So I'm going to make a strong edge right here. And then pick that up. Yeah. Add more flow because it's middle sort of grade. And carry that color over a little bit. It looks like there's a line here beside the light area. So that was probably a little bit too strong, but guess I'm gonna have to blend it in. And blending it will be okay with that color. I'm gonna hold shift so I can draw a straight line. I think I'll go with the wider line to blend outward and lower the flow. Okay, now go back to a smaller brush and add more detail to this crease right here that I'm forming. Go with maybe even a smaller brush. Wait a minute, need a dark color. And go down right here and make this stronger through here. And then pick up a color that's not black and go down beside it. And then go smaller. Four pixels. Go on this side of the line. On the left side, I'm pushing down on the mouse button, going up and down. So there, that is like, this is shaded area over here. And if I want to make that shaded area deeper, I'll have to go with a bigger brush. And since I don't want to cover up this line right here, I'm going to have to use another layer so I can control this darker shade. Because if I go over that line, then it's going to be messed up and I'll have to redo it. And I don't want that. So I want to make this shaded more right through here. And maybe add some orange to it. And click here and make this darker. I let go of the mouse and touched it there, dragged it spot there. Trying to make it darker right here. Touch. And then darker orange to mix with it. That was mostly just a dab when I drag. Now I can trim, because this is black over here. I want to trim that off. Just test it, see how much is going to be taken off. Yep, that's quite a bit. I'm going to undo that and go over just a little bit more. There. So I could use the selector tools and trim, because when you're like painting with the soft brush, it's like a spray can. You have to mask off areas where you don't want the overspray to hit. Or just trim where you don't want it. Okay, this is, so you can see I started with a big brush and I added more details by painting in with a smaller brush to get more details. That's the idea of getting details with a soft brush. You get the soft look, but you also get the details you want. And you can see right here. So this is a big brush over here. It blends in wider areas. And let me use the circle here. And fill it in. So on the soft brush, the area, it's like in the, I want to try to find the center here. Or just guess at it. Okay, like this is the middle. So your focus should be in the middle of this brush, because this is where the brush is heavier. And then as it goes out around the sides, now I get this brush is about that size. Oh, that's quite a bit of a jump. That's close enough there. So you have a brush, and see where I have it. I'm going to go around this circle right here and follow this lightly around the edge. So I'm going to try to keep the center of the brush on the edge and go around. And I guess this is more or less for skills, because you would have to add a new layer so I don't change the rest of it. Anyway, this just the shading is only covering half the brush. You know, the center is stronger than the outer side, so it's like a 360-degree gradual brush. So here it goes, around the edges. Then I pick a lighter color, but not a white, because I want to keep it separate. Now I'm going to go with a smaller brush and follow around the edge, trying to keep the center of the brush on the outer border. And it's basically the same thing as doing the opposite way, which is like pick the size of the brush here again. I think that's 220 is close enough, like this. I'm gonna make this darker in the middle. Click, click, click. To me, I see rings in there, but you probably don't see it. I'm trying to increase the quality so you can see stuff. This is more or less showing you that if you want a shade, let me try this. Looks like there was a place that got selected right here. Oh yeah. I guess I'll have to fade that like I do glass. Just pick a wide brush where I'm blending in an area. See, this is half is past the outside of this, so I can blend it towards that crease in the middle that I made, because that just became too dark. So I could do undo and fix it, but I can also erase it. So get the eraser or brush mode. This is the eraser. Okay. Undo. Well, that's close enough. Now lower the float so I can control it. That's not enough. There, that does it. Okay. So you have options when you're using the brush, soft brush, because it's more, well, you can call it an airbrush. And what you're trying to go for is what's here. Wait a minute, that's the eraser. Is the use from this center point right here to the edge, because that's your gradual area. Your gradual area starts from this outside edge and gradually blends into a darker area where it's stronger. More paint here in the middle. So that's how you make your gradual area. So when you're making a curve, this is like a curve in depth. The light is high, the black is shadows, so it's deeper than the light areas. In 3D, that's the way it works. Is because when you're closer to an object, it's brighter. Farther away, it's darker. If you were to look at a wall that's in perspective, and so you see a wall, it's in perspective. The lighter side, and get this brush to cover it. That's a little bit too small. See, what I'm trying to do is get the gradual area of the brush. There's the center. It's on this side of the wall. So I can lighten this area on this side, because this is the side that would be closer to you. And then this other side, I'm going to have to go off the canvas to get this. It'll be darker. This is showing depth. And if you look at pictures and stuff, this is the way it looks, except usually in pictures they have a little kind of a green tint to the shadows. So it looks more like that. So this is showing far away, and this is showing up closer, because you're shading for depth. And this is deeper, and this is more towards the front. Yeah. So that's that idea. I think I'll just delete this ball. Oh, that was part of something else. I could have deleted this too. Didn't have to be darker. So when you're working with the brush, if you don't want to get this area over here like this, you can always trim later. You use the selector tools and trim. Trim where you want. And like this might be the edge you want. Or you can set the mask, and like if you have a shape like that, you set the mask. I want to do this on another layer, so I could probably select this area. And create a mask. And this mask, I don't see where it's showing anything because I didn't highlight it, so I could delete the mask. And then select this area, hold Control and click on the icon, and now I can start a mask. Now the black is showing the area that's not going to be painted in. Only the white area is going to be painted in. So now I can take a brush and add the curve of the face. Let's see, I go with the black. Everything fades to black. Wait a minute, this is, yep. Okay, it looks like it's getting lighter, and I'm using black. Oh, I'm on the mask. Undo brush, step back. Get back over here on this picture. Now I'm going to shade with black. This is like part of getting the shape of the face. And the eyes wouldn't be that big. So I get like right here would be the eyes. If I want to go with the alien looking face, I guess I could go with the bigger eyes with the bigger brush. Now the area underneath the nose has shadow from shade, so undo, that would be a little bit too much. And just a little bit. Bring the nose up a little bit. And then another place underneath the lip. And then pick up a color here and brighten it for the chin. Looks like I might have to add to this mask. So here's the mask, and I want more white area. So I'm going to use the brush, a hard brush, and then increase this to 100%. So I'm going to add an area on this right here. Bring the chin down more. Then go with the black and trim where I want it to trim. Now I have the mask. Now just add the color here and then fix it. Blend in this color and then lower the flow. I think I can go lower than that. Now this is to be the chin area. So I got the shading under the nose, and then I want the cheekbones to be up high. And the eyebrows go out, so they're up high, and the temples need to be a little bit sunk in with the ridge in front, sort of. And then under the hair would be darker. So now I just get colors in here that help blend in. This is more of a reddish shade to add more color to it. I think I'll go with a little more red underneath the eyes. And then this pale color here to blend in. And then throw it back in some shading. Now add some highlights. Actually, I can get a small brush and bring the nose ridge back out. And then it's usually a little bit shaded here for the bridge. Yes, this flow is a little bit too strong to work with because it's making lines that I don't want. I want it to blend in better. And then use white for the tip of the nose because that's the one area that sticks out the most. And then go with the shading again around the sides for the cheekbones, arm and jaw right here. Of course, the jaw probably needs to come out more. So now I got a blurry version of a face. So when I'm clicking this, you can see me painting, and this, if I'm not painting, I'm moving over and I'm not doing nothing, you don't see nothing happening. Okay, and then do the side nostrils. Here's I'm painting the nostrils. There's paint here and paint again. So this is the nostrils, and then I want the tip of the nose to come down farther because it's not like you're going to look up into the nose because this is looking at it from a forward direction. Now I'm going to use a darker shade at the bottom and touch this through here and try to blend in some other colors to take out the black. There's like that, and then bring down this area and through the middle. Then I'm going to use a bigger brush and help blend in, get some of this shading through here. I'm using the mouse now and clicking here, holding down, let go. It's kind of hard to do it because I'm just touching mostly, so it's touch there, touch, and I'm using the mouse and going with the more smaller areas next to the nose, and I'm painting it. It's still using the mouse because I'm not seeing it show up as much. I let go, and then I'm trying to get the edge here. I'm holding down the mouse, painting here. It's not showing much because I'm not getting far with it. Now I'm going to put some little bit of red areas underneath there. And I'm going to go with the really low flow because I don't want the red to turn like a red tip on the nose. Now I'm using the brush. It's showing red right there. Then I pick up this color and now I'm using it to paint over the tip. And then get black because it's too red. And it's painting here. I'm holding it down. And then painting here and holding the brush down. And dab paint and paint. And then I'm going to paint here to like ridge, paint here. So I'm painting here. So I'm more or less trying to get this more detail to this. Now I'm going to go up with the mouth. The mouth is going to be like from here across, so I'm painting the line. So when you want to do a lips, you use a red. I'm going to go with the bigger brush and paint. I'm using it, still holding down the mouse. Trying to get it to where it's looking more like the lower lip. At least filling in the area. Okay, stop moving, stop holding down the mouse. And then I'm going to underline it right here for shadow because the lip hangs over and it's pressing down here. And then I'm going to go here across the lip a little bit for the shadow from the top lip. It's still pressing down the mouse. Now I'm going to go with the work on the top lip. I think I'll go with a little more red, see what happens with this flow rate, and holding down the mouse. Trying to avoid the middle here. But now I'm going to work on the middle now. More there. More there. Now it's since the light is sort of like overhead, I'm going to have to highlight the upper lip. So I'm going to have to use a smaller brush to add this sharper detail. And it's white. And it's still low flow. So it don't happen too fast. I can stop it when I need it. There. Now the lower lip needs to be defined. I could do it on another layer and work on it, or I can edit everything around it when I'm messing up. So I guess I'll go that route. If I mess up, I edit it and go with a little bigger brush. Nope, not that big. That's too small. Okay, this is, I'm drawing on the line on the bottom. And then I'm going to get some black, go up closer to the lip. There. You can see this just a little bit of dabbing here and there as to get this edge right here. Now I'm going to pick up this middle shade and blend it in. And then a bigger brush. It's going to make the rest of it look a little bit darker. But this little part right here shades the lip to give it that curve at the bottom. And then I'm going to put more definition in the separation of the upper lip and bottom lip, but I'm sinking it down here. Okay, see me using the brush. I'm still holding it down even though there's little flow coming out. I'm not releasing it yet. Okay, that was enough. Now I'd go with the smaller brush. Put some lines in it. And I'll try a little bit more because this 2 is a little bit low. Now I'm scribbling areas here for the bottom lip to show texture, creases and stuff in the lip. And then I need to make this, since this is forwards here, this sides of the mouth needs to be darker. So I'm going to go with the deeper red. And this shows depth. So now we have a little bit of depth. And then you have to have the face a little bit darker there too. I'm going to pick up this color, see how it does painting it here. Nope, that's not doing anything. Step back. Use black. And then the flow might be a little bit too strong for this black now. So I'm doing this, hitting it in here. And since it's too dark, I'm going to pick up another version of it and shade it. And then go over here with a lighter color to thin it out. Okay, now I'm going to get a little bit bigger brush and do this side here. I'm holding down the mouse brush with this color I just picked up. And I'm going around here to shade the side of the mouth. And I'm going to shade this side of the mouth over here. I guess when I'm wiggling, that's when I'm actually painting. And then some of this right here would be thinned out through here and swerves around. And then do the same thing over here, just press down and try to blend in some of this chin area where it's lighter and go around. Now we want this area of the cheek highlighted, so I'm pressing down and bringing out this, and also where it's coming close to that, I want this area shaded to help make this crease in the face. So now that I got that lighter color here on here, see this, I'm painting it, making it lighter, and painting it, making it lighter. And I gotta put more detail in it, so I use a smaller brush. This comes around here. I'm holding down the mouse, but it looks like not enough flow. Try this. There it is. Okay, this area right here will be darker unless it's got a highlight in it. And the side of the mouth will be darker. It's no wonder it's not really black. That's why it's doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go with a smaller brush and put in a dark patch right here to show the side of the mouth. And the side of the mouth is over here. Now I'm going to have to highlight the upper lip. Of course, the bottom lip is kind of small compared to the upper lip. You probably have to make it larger. But I'll just see if I can highlight this lip. That's probably a little bit too highlighted, like gloss. Undo that. Go with the lower flow and try it again. Go with the upper lip going down and do that again. And paint the line around the lip here. Do that again. Over here it wouldn't be that much, so I'm going to go over to hide some of this highlight, and then I'm going to have to shade under this lip, like through here. It needs to be darker. And let's pick up some black. Now I can show a little bit of highlight here. Just dabbing it and just create little spots here for highlight. And then right here is going to need to be darker. So I use this darker red and paint in here. It's probably helped to have a bigger brush to blend in wider area. That 7 is a little bit too small. 10, actually that's a flow. Let's see. There. Now do that and that. Probably hit too much of it, but then I go over it with a little bit of black there, touching it black, and on the bottom needs a little more red. And then shading to separate it. And then I'm going to have to bring the upper lip down. So I'm going to pick up colors up here where this color is and bring this color down and blend in some of this to remove the too much of the upper lip. Just lower the upper lip. And Let me go with more flow here. Lower it to here. And then pick this color up. And this color here. This color here. Now I can add some highlight again to this upper lip here. That's too much. See, this one side over here needs to take that corner off so it blend in more. When you got a ridge of the nose, you need to define the edge of the nose to this ridge. You have a shadow on one side and a highlight on the other side to help highlight it, to bring out that shape. And then I'm going to go with a bigger brush to shade this area a little more and bring it out down here closer to the lip. So this is a rough version of it. So when you do eyes and stuff, you can do them on another layer if you want. So start a new layer, and let's say I want the eyes to be shaped like this. This tool up here, it's get this back everywhere it belongs. This tool up here, it says polygonal lasso tool. This is like a selection tool that you can use to click. Let's see, like click, that was an anchor, and I set anchors around clicking and click, 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 click to make out the shape. And I want this side down here to drop down lower, so I click around here and then gradually go up. Actually, probably not that much. And the computer just shut me off, so I'll do that again. The computer is constantly refreshing and busy doing other things and don't give a crap what I'm doing. So I have to get this done before it does that again. Okay, this is sort of like, this would be the eye. I'm going to fill it with white so you can see that it's an eye. So let's see if this looks right. A little bit low. But then you would still have to have room for the upper eyelid, so you don't want it up too high. Could rotate a little bit. So I can edit everything when I'm done with it. So this right here is where this don't look quite right. You gotta trim this off. Edit, undo. Now delete that area. So this is basically an idea of what the eye shape might look like. And I can select this area and work inside of it for a little bit. This pick up a color here and paint around. This looks like it don't have no flow, so I increase the flow to fill it in better. Usually when you see faces in real life, it's has like a tint of the skin, the color of the skin in there. I don't know whether it's because cameras or what, but it's also a shade, just not completely black. It's more like partly skin color. Like that. That's the way the eyes are usually shaded. And then when they're in a dark area, they have a shade over them. Like this eyebrow would be part of the shading over it. So that would be shaded because of the eyebrow. Then get this other brush. No, that would be too big. Too big. Okay, there would be a spot. Just make it a spot. Just hold it there. And then there's the spot. And it's probably can undo that. Step back, and go up a little bit higher. And there it is. Now we have this color that we're going to have to paint in. Like if we want blue eyes, let's dab some blue on there. And then make this smaller and maybe a little bit smaller, and dab the black in the middle. See, you get perfect circles with the brush. Now since this needs shading for this part, I'm going to go with this smaller brush, just the more or less blurry brush, to make the shadow on the eye up here on the top. And then, oops, that would be too much. Edit, undo, and a little bit like that. Then we have the fibers in the eye. So I'm going to go with a 1 pixel brush and see how 11 does. It does quite a bit. Maybe it might make it too strong if I overlap it. So I'm going to start painting and make this lines go out away from the center of the eye. And then stop and go on this side so I don't overlap until I get there. Now I'm going to overlap here where it would be brighter. And then I'm going to go with the lighter color and make a higher, brighter color. and make lines, not blur. Just draw lines, make it stronger in some of the spots. Now I'll just add a bright spot for the gloss. Let's say this is a reflection of something round, a round light. Well, I guess that isn't going to do it. Edit, undo brush, edit, step back. Guess we'll have to use a different brush. Okay, now that we've got the hard edge brush, and we'll do that again. Okay. Let's see, that looks kind of alright. So basically we're getting details because we use different size brushes. It's always like a constant change in brushes. You're always changing them. Now I'm going to trim around the eye. And delete that area. And then do the bottom. Actually, the bottom won't look too bad if I left that there, because we're going to have to make highlights for water on the eye. And that usually makes the lower shine on the lower eyelid. Then we got the upper eyelid, which is, let me pick a color and go over, like this is the lower eyelid. It just goes like this, and it's bigger through here. This is like where that lower eyelid is. And then we have the upper eyelid, which is like this, and it sort of like cuts into the like the, sometimes it's right in here, it gets cut into by the skin on top. Get this, and I want to cut off this area. And pick a smaller brush and do this. This would be the high part, because there would be like, let me get a 1 pixel brush and point this out. Right here is a tear duct, like a little hole in the eye. I guess when you learn enough about the face and the eyes, you probably learn that. So this is the eyelids. And on this eyelid, you have like a ridge. So I'm going to make this darker. Adjust brightness and darkness. Okay. So now I'm going to point out the ridge. See, like right here, you see the edge of the skin, like how thick the skin is right here. You actually see that right here, because it's curving around, and this is the thickness of the skin. It's this thick through here, and then it fades in because it's coming around, and you don't see this, the thickness of the skin there. And this right here might show a little bit, but the eyelashes are always in the way, so they're like this. sticking into the, coming out from the skin right here. So I'm gonna change this to a different color that matches this more. I just using saturations. Since I pointed this out, now I'm just going to try to match it up with the skin. Go with the red a little more. And it looks like it's too much yellow, but I don't want it. And then go with less saturation. So this is the eyelid. So we can blend it in with the rest of it. This area over here would be the area with that, let me pick up a color. This, like right here, I don't know what the name of it is, but as long as you know what it looks like, because that's what art's all about. You got to know what it looks like. You don't have to name bones and everything. You just know what it looks like. And then you have some shading, so you got this like this, and you got to get back to that. And then since it's wet, there's always highlight on it because the tear duct is right there. Now I'm just going to hide the tear duct. Now I'm going to widen this so I can blend in colors. That's a little bit too wide. Get this color right here and blend it in. And this color, bring it over like this and blend it in. It's all these different shades coming in together. So you can just pick up the colors you want and just dab it in there, because it's going to look messed up, not smooth. Let's see what that looks like. So now we can add a crease. We're going to have to do a fine line with the dark area this looks like it's dark enough right here, right there. That's the color I want. So I make a fine line and draw through here. And then if the eye was wet, I can add a little bit of reflection on the side of the eyelid right here. And this upper eyelid need to be darker, but then there's an area above the eyelid that I want to add. I'm going to just pick up this color and well, actually, let me work on this eyelid. Let's darken it, shade it in, and then lower the flow so I don't do too much damage over here, and blend this out of here. Now I'm going to add this area. It's like you got this lump right here. See, this goes up like this, blends in, but then you have this lump right here. I don't know if this is a solid brush. They don't do much good for blending. Okay, so we get this brush and blend in this highlight spot. Go with a little more red. Like it. This lump right here. I'm using memory, so I'm painting this with memory of what I remember. Then I get this some creases in here. It's supposed to be a crease through here. And that would be too big. I'm going to try to bring this lump on the eye. It's like above the eye here. So, has a little more like it. If I had eyelashes and everything, it would look normal. If I want to do eyelashes, I think I'll go with 2, but it's not hitting 2, so I type it in 2 and increase the flow so it makes drastic change, and see what the size brush is for 2. Since it curves out of the eye and goes down and then back up again, I'm just doing that. Sometimes it has smaller, so I'm going to go with the 1 now. So it gets smaller, and then have to have like a few pieces sticking out. It's not even. Now with the lower flow. And then a few over here. And then a highlight for the water in the eyes. And some, let's see, this would probably need to be lower flow. See how this works. You can put some red in it. Nope, not strong enough. And it probably needs to be a darker red. See, there's a vein going through here. Let's put some over here. And they just use clear eyes. Let's make this area in here darker where the eyelids are, or the eyelashes are heavier. It's sort of like what it should be, except the black right here for these eyelashes probably need to fade out a little bit. So let's fade them out. Pick up this color here and go through here. And then this color here, go through here. Now, that's basically how you do details. You can see that I changed brush sizes, I add creases, I draw in details with a smaller brush while I blend and with the brush to like bigger gradual areas, I use a bigger brush. If it goes from here to here with the blends of two different colors, then that means that's a pretty large brush because you have to be this wide in order to be half of the brush. Like from here to here, that would be half of the brush. So you need a brush twice as wide to do that. So you select the brush, you increase the size to where you get that size, and that right there is closer to it. See? Now that's the size you want. And that would shade this. So with the smaller brush, you get less shading, so it don't go far. It starts from the middle and goes out to the outer ring. So it's like from here to the outer ring, because I'm at the side where I want to be. That's where I want all the paint to go. And then going in, that means that I'm not really doing a wide gradual area. But here, I'm doing a wider gradual area. And when you want it curved more, you can add just smaller area with the larger area. Like that will be painted in, and then you want something smaller, like a little bit, half of that to make it darker, and that adds to the curve. So you have like a curve going from all the way out here into here, and it's like a 45-degree angle almost, unless you have this extra curve in here to say, like, this is not going like in a 45-degree angle to the depth. It's going deeper because you got this patch here, and if it's not evenly curved enough, you can go with the bigger brush and blend it in. Like more than that. So you got this, like that blends it in. So you're going from there, real light, to heavier light, heavier, and then even the heavier in the middle. So it's really strong here, and it blends around here. That gives a curved look instead of a 45. Let's see what this is. That was the eye added on. So that's how you work with this SoftBrush. You work with it in details by not just working with one brush. You don't shade and that's it. You have to add details by going smaller and smaller and smaller until you get the smallest details. So if it looks blurry, you just need more details and you use a smaller brush. Like this nostrils right here, I can get a really small brush and make it look like the nostrils are there. There, now I have more details than I had before. And if I want the bottom of the nose to show, I need to have a shade like this and shade it through here, and then more curve here, and then less curve there, because that would be the nose, not part of the curve going down. And then this area of the skin for that nostril, you got the flare of the nostril. This side of the nostril is flared out. You can do it like a shade from a color on the side of the nostrils, and then you gotta have like this between there. And the nose has like a bigger area where you have to do the nose to get that curve to the nose tip. Just bring in some colors here. And then pick up some colors through here and blend it in. And one side would be darker than the other side. From lighting. And then add more details by going in smaller. And let's see, use a brush and go wider. And this right here in the middle usually comes down like this right here. It just swings down. So you have this part of the eye right here that's sunk in. You can see it in this, like the skull is underneath here. And usually people have their eyes a little bit redder in that area. So I can go with the color and a low flow to make this look redder. See, I'm adding red to it. See, just keep going until I add red and edit, step back, and this is with the low flow. I go with the lower flow, so then you can't really notice that. Just it gets a red, but you don't notice it that much. And the colors of the forehead, like up here, that would be more of a yellow. So I'm going to use a yellow and a larger brush with this color. And actually, you can take some of the color out, but I haven't done any highlights up here yet. And this is just color that I'm changing. And the sides of the face might have a little more red in it because the skin is a lot like the, actually, I'm not coloring anything. I'm not on this. Let it undo. Step back. Step back. Edit. Step back. I'm going to merge these down. So now I can add red through here. See, when the skin is more or less like a wax, you can see light in the subsurface. So this area right here would have more yellow, and the nose would be highlighted, but it also have a little red in it. So that's okay. I can just add a little more yellow here on the cheeks, and then bring in some red. I gotta get a smaller brush because I don't want that big of an area around there. So now I'll just go red here, and then the side of the face, right through here where the temples are, part of the forehead coming down, that's not as red because the red is mostly around the eyes and sometimes on the nose, but not always. Depends on the coldness of the nose. And the size of the face is kind of red, but not always. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's not. And the chin is always lighter right there. And the nose. So those are the colors of the face. And I can tone out some of this red here with some yellow. So this is just changing the colors. Like if I want to change the color of this, I'll have to undo it after I do this. But if I want this skin to look blue, I just go like this with this blue. And make it look blue. See this, what this blue is doing? It's only coloring it. It's not really changing the actual highlights and stuff. You still see them, but I'm painting this blue. So color don't change anything but the color. So all the details you paint, that's there and it stays there. And hit it, step back. So if I go at the heavier usage, this is only on one. I go with heavier stuff, like let's say 25. This is how fast it changes the color. You can see where I was painting it with that one. This is 25, so it changes pretty rapidly. And if you don't want that much of a change, you don't go that high unless you want to absolutely change everything instantly. So 25 is pretty heavy for that. And then step back. And if you go with the 6, this changes a little bit, but it's gradual. So if you see that much change, see where I'm stroking it? See this stroke through here? If you want that much of a change, then you use that much flow. If you want more of a change or less of a change, you use more or less. But that's 6. That's how much 6 changes. And that'd be good for if you're trying to mix color, like if you're mixing blue and red together. Because where you paint the blue, you can go over with that and get like more of a purple color out of it. So that's how it works. Depends on what you want. Let's see, step back, step back, step back. So this just basically how you work with the SoftBrush. You can come up with all kinds of ideas, like let's take these things off here and go back here. And now I'm thinking trees, and I'm thinking of a field. So I use the brush, go with a big brush. Wait a minute, this is on color, normal. And then I want to start a new layer. So I go like this and I get the lighter shade of green. So I just fill in this lighter shade of green right here. And then I want, that would be like in the light. And then I get this part that's not so light. So you got this that's light, patches of light, and then you got this patches of, it's a little bit shaded. Like if you got a tree in the middle or trees here and you got this shade and you want this to get darker, you can mix in colors and get this darker area. Like this is where a tree shade is. It's in the shade it undo. I don't know where that came from. So you just add this shade and edit undo. So you're just like doing a rough image, like when you see flowers and you see this really detailed flower, and in the background of that flower you see the forest. Like this is a forest. This is under the trees, and they have areas where you can see the sky through it. So you can make changes like this and paint some sky. Actually, let's do the sky. There's a sky. And then you have trees. Like you see trees standing up here, and they're like, yep, undo brush, go with the lower flow, try to blend in this. So like it's a greenish brown, or then I add some gray into it, and then I make it darker. So like that would be highlights of trees that you would see. Like there's a big tree. Let's paint over this spot. Go with a better flow, so then we can do it, not pretend. And then go with a bigger brush for bigger trees up close. Edit, undo, edit, undo. Wait a minute, that would undo, step back. So when you got trees, as they go farther away, you gotta have the ground farther back. That was a spotted. Then since this is all blurry, now I can add more details, bringing in more details. So all these trees are like this color. And let's say my idea includes fog. So I add fog, and I want to go with a lower flow for that. Lower than that. Step back. Let's try this. Okay, now I got like a fog through here. And image, go with a bigger brush for larger fog area. And as it gets farther back, the fog gets stronger. But then you see some trees in the fog, like shadows of trees in the fog. So you just create your idea in a blurry way. And you need some treetops. This treetops. Just pick up this darker color here. And we want a stronger flow. So yeah, some treetops. And let's go with more the treetops. And with the treetops, you have shadows under the trees. So the bottoms of the trees would have shadows. Oh, wait a minute. Edit, undo. That was a little bit too strong. Then you add shadows to underside of the leaves, to this down here in the bottom. So you got the fog. And here's something you can do when you're adding more details to the fog. You can stream areas through there, but the best streams come from this, you pulling on this areas. Let's say like this, you smear it, but this is all one layer, so you can't really smear that unless the fog was on a separate layer. Then you can smear the fog. Edit, undo, edit, step back, edit, step back. Like here's a new layer, here's some fog. Let me get this brush bigger. It don't look like it's doing anything. I don't see nothing happening. Make sure nothing's selected. Okay, oh, 3%. Let's try, oh, it's at 10. It's on the brush, it's only on 10. Maybe I was on the eraser or something. And you add some grays for under the shadows of the fog. So you have white areas and the grays areas, and then you can drag this stuff around. It's like a drift. Of course, this is a strong drift. You don't want too strong of a drift. You want it to be more gradual. It's like 100% strength. And this would be better, just to drag out areas, shape it. Like right through here, you want drifts. And a blurry area coming out from the trees. As the trees would be blocking a lot of the air. So you can control your drifts with the smudge. And if you got flames, another layer. So you like the really hot stuff, it's here. So it could be darker. And I'm on normal, and it didn't change to darker. There it is. Darker. Could have black from the soot and everything. Then you gotta have like an orange to go up to the flames. And then yellow. And white. And then I'm gonna go with the lower flow for the white. That's not white. Now if this, you want to see it, I might have to go with a black area that's darker around it. So you can see this. And that stroke a little bit too heavy, so I just pull some of this down in here. I guess if I fill this area, it might help. Then you can see the flame. So when this flame is like too tall, so I just pull it down, and it needs some wider tips on it. So add some white in there. So when the flames on a fire, they streak because the drift. Because that when you got a flame that's burning, the heat pulls the flames up, and then they kind of like come out wider. Let me go with the changes different sizes. Now they pull out flames, then some of them snap off. So that's not what I want. Stay on that. I would pull this up like this and create like a cross draft like this. And it's sort of like snapping off here, so I push down this, try to get rid of that. Fade it out. Then I use eraser and erase some of it to help me separate it. So you got like that spark there is just broke off. And this flame is going down, and this is going down, and it leaves a little patch up here. But you can work at it and get the flames to look right with the colors and everything. And you can draw some wood in there. This wood would be look black. And it don't look like the wood's painting in there very good, as it looks like I'm not even on the same layer. Oh, that's because I'm on smudge. Okay. So I draw some wood in the fire. And where you draw the wood, you gotta draw the glowing embers. So it could look a lot like this. Of course, you study it, probably won't be that yellow there. So I can try to recolor it, but the color will go wherever. Like I don't want to color the area around it, because when you color and there's nothing there, it applies the color. It paints the color. Like if I pick a red, let's do a white. So I do a white, and I'm just painting white here because the color isn't changing anything. It's painting. There's nothing there, so it paints it. But if you want to change this color right through here, you have to be careful and just stay on it. See, like I'm taking some of the color out, make it look brighter. But in areas it would also add color that I'm using. So you can't really see the area there because without the black it wouldn't look much like flames. And you have to have like drifts, like over. Let me get this brush wider. Have drifts going over, like whirls of wind and stuff from the flames. Not always the same. And if I zoom in, I could probably do better. This is smaller brush, and go like drag this white up in here, and this white come up here, and then I can do a little patch of white up here with the brush, add some white. And this will be brighter right here. Some I can smudge it, look like it's broke off the tip that was coming up here. I could probably add a little bit of yellow with it. Make it look like a bright spot that broke off. And pretty much control how this looks. You can get it more detailed with the smaller size smudge tool, and try to do whimsy type stuff where the flames going up, and then take out some of the stuff like this right here is red on the sides. That probably wouldn't be red. I'm pretty sure it'd be more like yellow or something. So I'm going to go with the color. And oops, that color just didn't work good. Just too heavy. It was filling in more. That was 3%. 1%. Nope, it's not gonna work. I'm better off just using a brush there. Oh, that was a smudge tool, and I used color on the smudge tool. That might have had something to do with it. Don't want the smudge tool to be on that. Of course, there's the darken. Like, oh, that that wouldn't look too good. Of course, it does look better down here because it's rough. And lighten. That would be the opposite of what I want to do. Step back. Step back. So you can see how flames are done. And if you want to do lightning, you have to do, let me do it right here. Get a smaller brush. Okay, so lightning comes down. That needs more flow. Lightning well, nothing happening there because it's a smudge. Let's get on the brush. Okay, and then the smaller brush. Lightning comes down. And it goes jagged and stuff. Of course, not that jagged. It's like branches, like wiggly lines. And where it's got wiggly lines, you can go with a smaller size. Let's go with 3. And then draw in areas. And then lower the flow. Then you just draw in little cracks there, the little branches. Guess I'll use an eraser to fix some of this. Then I get white and go with, well, that's a 4. Let's go with 5. And the white, what am I on? That's eraser. Well, let's do 6. Right here would be the lightest spot. And when it branches out, it goes less. So I do like this. And that's flow, that's size. Then I can go over to fade out, since let's say use the eraser for that, to fade it out. And a low flow. And let's use a smaller brush. So this is a rough one. So you have the lightning, you have that, and then use the smudge to help make these smoother branches out. And I don't see nothing happening. Need more flow. Let's say like that's a rough version of lightning. Of course, they don't actually fade like that as much on the ends. It just travels down the end and stops. But it's always brighter through the heavier part of the vein. And then these would be really long anyway, so you'd want to drag them out really long. Or this looks more like antler for a deer. But that's basically how lightning's done. You just go longer and cover more area. But the single strand's not as loaded as this, because this is too branched out. And lightning goes like this: C, D, E, B, and then wide like this. They have like and where it's hitting something, you see a lot branches. And then the thing gets stronger. But the brightest part is where it comes from. And it's not just the lines for it, it's also the let me get a bigger brush for this. It's this. You go with the, see, a lower flow and just show the lightning glow. And then smaller areas around it. I'm getting a little sloppy, but that's more like lightning than this. And you can also go with lighten. is not much different because you got white, but it affects, like if I was to go darken, white wouldn't do anything. It's just, there's nothing there. So let's go with the less right there. And then in the clouds, you have like really bright areas of the clouds that light up because this lightning is in this area. So it's just texture of the clouds. In the brightest area is maybe some colors in the sky, in the clouds, as it fades out into the dark. His brightest point is right there in the middle, where it's actually happening. Then there would be shadow clouds that's in front because the light is the like the light is on the other side of the cloud and you're on this side of the cloud because these clouds are in front. I'm trying to come up with it, but I guess I'm not getting it right. It's just looking sloppy. Anyway, that's the concept of it. Anyway, it's just how you make lightning in case you ever wanted to try. And this could have been better, smoother, not like this. So now we got a little bit of fire and lighting. Okay, I guess that's enough for now. Oh, this background here is like if you want to fill in areas that's making an idea. Let's see, where is this? Yeah, right here. Want to make an idea, you just fill it in. Like if you want to see some light through the trees, like there's light there, and you can make water if you want, but where you go into details is the details just help bring out more details because you're using a smaller brush, and you can like select areas like straight through here, and that prevents you from going outside this area. So you can do like a area here where you got like an ocean water back there, and this selected area actually creates some of the details because it's a sharp edge. See, it creates some details. So when you want to like define a tree and you want that curve in the tree, you just select the area and then paint the tree. Let's go with this color. You paint the tree, that way you can use shading on it to get that curved look that you want. And then shading in the top from the tops of the tree and some branches in the way, and maybe even some highlights in it, like the light over here. So you can add details like that. And when you're doing something like you got like a, let me see, go back, close this and that, go back up here to this face. Like if I want to make something like an armor place here and just bring down the tip there, go like this for like a helmet. I'm just gonna do it sloppily. Okay, you just instead of being on this layer, you want it to be on another layer so you can work on it and trim it. Like I'm gonna make metal, go with more flow. And then some shading. And some highlights. When you do this, you can select that area and add another layer and bring it down below that, and then drop it down, just move it down and add black. And then use blur Gaussian blur. And then fade it. This opacity, lower the opacity. So this adds a shadow in there. See? So you got the layer for the head, and you got layer for the shadow, and you got layer for the helmet. And that way, when you're working on the helmet, you're not working on the art, so you can edit the edges. Like I'm gonna use select the edge here and make this curve better. And then add details on this part of it. This might be a thing that I want to add to it, so I'm not actually doing it on the metal. I'm doing it on a new layer. So I do up here, go above that, and take these colors here, to fill in, go the stronger flow so I can make sure it's filled in. Fill it in, and then lower the flow to blend. And then I can use a brush, this small brush, to draw details in it. Like I'm going to draw a ridge down through here. Edit, undo. I want that a little bit over this way more. And then draw a swirl here. And one here. These are just like ideas for things. And this can drop down like this and swirl the other way. So I'm like designing this area here. Or I can go like this. Just build up loops. Put in some kind of design. Along with when you do textures, you gotta always have highlights and midtones. So we got midtones, highlights, and shadows. So I did this on this layer, so I can do stroke, edit, stroke, and inside. And then edit. Wait a minute. Let's do the darker color. Edit, stroke. Wait a minute. That's not it. Edit, stroke. Outside. Edit, undo that. It's a little bit too heavy. Edit, stroke. 1 pixel. See, when you add this, you just add different layers to it so that you can gradually blend and work on what's underneath. And if I see like this shadow could be improved, I can work on it because it's still low opacity. Low opacities, so I can work on the shadow here. I can paint it. I can trim it. And I control it because it's on a different layer and it's not affecting me redrawing the face and stuff. I don't have to redraw that. I'm just doing it on top. So when you're working with these brushes, soft brush, you do it in layers whenever there's some sharp edge that you want to work on, so that way you can edit the edge of that sharp area. Like this eye, I could have done it on the same layer, but if I had to move it or resize it or something, then I wouldn't be able to do it without messing up what I have. So, but right now it's merged down, and if I want to do anything with it, I'd have to select this area for the eye. Edit, copy, edit, copy, edit, paste. Now I have the eye where I can edit, and when I move it, let's see, edit, paste, edit, transform, flip vertical. See, this don't match the area. So what I do is that I either make the area around it match by going on a layer underneath it, start a new layer, and then pick these colors here, and then with the low flow, just let me get a smaller brush, and then work on these colors to blend them in. And then the other way is like right here, I could just get rid of that and not do this shade, or I could go up here on this layer and use the eraser. That would be a little bit too big for gradual area. See, I've taken out a gradual area. It should be not a hard brush. So this 5%. So I'm erasing the edge. And that helps blend this in. And then on this layer here that I changed, I erase that too. That helps blend in. So, and if you want to go with something like this on, let's say, image, edit, let's see, free transform, and make this, keep this scale right, but make the eye bigger. See, like if you're going to make really big eyes, you just make it bigger. And that way, that's why you want to do it on a different layer with like eyes and stuff. Then you can fix things. Free transform. See, like that eye looks good. It looks like the right size and everything. This eye looks a little small. So I can select this eye right here and put it in, edit, copy, edit, paste. Then edit, free transform, and flip horizontal. See, be a little bit wider. And down a little bit. That looks good to me. That's one way of doing things. When you want to get details, you always have to go with a smaller brush. You start big, blend in large areas, and then add more definition by constantly going in with a smaller brush and getting into the point where you got the highest highlight and separating the line. That adds that makes like this is blurry looking, this is more detailed looking because I added this crease, and it's just by using smaller brushes. So when you add more details with smaller brushes, then everything looks more detailed. So that's like if you got looks blurry, you just didn't do enough details. Do more details and it don't look so blurry. You just use smaller brushes and add details. Like if this shape right here was real blurry, like let's say where this face is, there's the face, and then add a layer and paint with the more flow. So I paint this around here. let's say that this was like a rough edge. I didn't care too much about selecting the edge. And I didn't do that part like when I did it in the beginning. So just say that that's what this is. This is where this is blurry edges. And I can go around it with the eraser and make the edges look good. So then it's like covering in the areas that I want, and not use this size brush, but you use the brush that you need. Like see, this gradual area is pretty wide. You want a smaller gradual area, go with a smaller brush. So you have to go like that and then erase. I'm going to go with 100% because I want to trim off stuff. Like I'm trimming here, and I come in for the jaw here. Then I can get a bigger brush and trim out here since I'm away from the face. And if I see areas that needs patched, I just fill in the areas. That edge is too much. Go with a smaller brush. So I can trim this area by painting black, because right here, this mask, if I paint black here, that would trim. So I'm redefining this with the eraser to make a smoother edge, and this blurred area, like where it's, if I want it sharper, I'd use a sharper brush with less gradual area, like a smaller brush. But when you get too far, it looks like a cutout. You can trim off some of this blur with a sharper brush, but don't want to go too sharp, because it is like, let me see, undo eraser. Like if you go with this selection tool and trim, delete, that's really sharp, and in the picture it just looks like it's cut out, like copy and paste something from one thing to another. It just looks too sharp. So you want something that's got a little bit of blur to it. Just enough that it looks like it's part of it and not like a cutout. So I guess that's enough for now. It's probably been a long time.